there! Today I will show you how to crochet this square and join it with another and work a few rows of the main pattern in this skirt. So to start, it is better to choose yarn that is loosely woven, which is meant, here I will show you, this yarn, you see it is very tightly woven and it is good for crocheting, but it will not feel the stitches so that they have some, they look like this. When you use yarn that is tightly woven, your stitches will look a bit thinner. So here, this is the yarn, loosely woven, and here the thread, tightly woven. Here, tightly, very tightly woven. Here, you see there is no tight at all. So this will just look more beautiful and more boho alike. You start with 6 chains and the loop on your hook will never count as one chain. Then you join it with slip stitch into the first chain made here, and then you work 4 chains that will count as one treble stitch and 23 treble stitches into this loop. And when you work, try to cover this end of yarn with all your treble crochet stitches. And in the end of the row, when you have finished, and this is, here will be your last, of course you work all the stitches. I just show you your last treble crochet stitch. So just imagine this is your last stitch and you join it with slip stitch into this 4th chain in the beginning of this row here, like this. And then you start next row. Here I already made this. For the next row here, I'll just show you. So here are your 23 treble crochet stitches, and these are your 4 chains at the beginning of the row that count as 24th treble stitch. So you chain 1 and it counts as your first single crochet stitch, then 7 chains here, you skip 5 treble crochet stitches here and you work single crochet into next. Again, 7 chains, skip 5, single crochet in next, and so you work until you have 4 loops, this 7 chain loops here, and you join with slip stitch. Just insert your hook into this chain, pull the yarn, and this is the slip stitch made. Now we are going to work this pineapple stitches, but to make this video shorter, so I cannot cut the video, I will just make it shorter. I will just work 1/4 of these stitches. So it is always better to look at charts, because the chart, they show every stitch, and even if you can't work with charts, you just see that one chain is just one loop. One double crochet stitch is just one this cross. One single crochet, just little simple cross. And for the treble stitch, you have this stick with 2 bars on it, and this is the treble stitch. It's just as we used to learn in school. We do not write 1 O and E, we just work one simple sign like this, and we are used to it. So I think all charts, they have much better overview of what you are doing than anything else. And now we chain 4. This is our row 3, and this counts as our first stitch, first treble stitch. And now we work 12 treble stitches into this, each of these chain spaces. And since this is our first treble, we work just 11 more stitches here. If you need a little bit slower speed, you just choose the speed in this YouTube video and you adjust the speed as you wish. You can make this video slower or faster. So here I will work my 11 treble stitches, and the first 4 trebles in the beginning of the row are my first treble stitch. So let's count them. I would suggest to count these stitches so you don't make mistake. Okay, 2 more. Here we made 1, 2, 3. We made these stitches here, and I will just make 1 or 2 treble stitches to start group of 12 treble stitches in this loop. So this is the loop you're working. 12 treble here, 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 and here. And just let's show you the end of this row. Just a second. I just make 1 treble stitch here, so we do not work the whole row, but just finish it. This is our treble. This is our last stitch. This is the 12th treble in this loop, and we finish with slip stitch into this 4th chain in the beginning of this row. Here we made it somewhere here. Now we will work in the round, and if you have crocheted a lot, you've noticed that whenever you work as the right-handed person, when you work in this direction, your stitch here, when you work into this loop, your stitches will be shifted a bit. When you work back and forth, your stitches will be straight. Here, your stitches will be straight and in straight lines, I mean. But when you work in the same direction, your stitches will be a bit askew. And to compensate this skewedness, you need to start a little bit earlier. So, for example, here, you see there is a little bit askew pineapple stitch. So you just need to start it earlier, because if you started here in this as if you would be worked back and forth, you will your stitches. Okay, I'll better show it to you. I tried to explain it in PDF. Here we start you see here with 2 chains. This counts as our first half double crochet stitch, and we should work 10 hade stitches with this one as the first, so that you end at this 11th. Your last stitch should end here. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is your first hade stitch, is worked here between this first treble stitches. So, and then you work 10 in total, 10 hades, including the first 2 single crochet stitches. Sorry, that's actually the problem with loosely woven yarn. Sometimes you miss a bit some of these loops, and of course you should go back and take this loop, but since it's just a piece that I will undo later, I'll just ignore it, but you should not let this loop happen. So let's count our stitches. 1, 2, these are 10 stitches, and you see when you work here this 10 hade stitches across each group of treble stitches, you end at 11th treble. So your 10th hades is worked into 11th treble of the previous row. Now we made this. Now we work 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we work 1 single crochet in gap between these 2 groups here. This is our group of treble, and this is our group, and we work in gap here, and I will here work in gap. I will work in gap, so I can, sorry, I will just work in gap. What I wanted to do is picking up this loop, but you don't have this loop. You have just a normal row around of these stitches, but since I don't have it, I will have to catch it. Now we'll make another 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here we go. We make 1 hades in each of 10 treble stitches, and again your last hades here, your first hades here, and your last hades should be this 11th treble. So I'll make it, I'll come back here just to show you the end of this row. You see, I'm working here. This is our last hades. Will be here in this group of stitches, and I work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we worked here this 5, here this 5, and now you work the whole round here and came to this place where you worked 5 chains, 5 chains, here 5 chains, 1 single crochet between here 2 this groups of treble stitches. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here you work into this second chain in the beginning of this row. So basically here you go, you worked here these 10 hadayas and these 2 loops, and now we are in this round 5, and the round 5 we start with 2 chains. It counts as our first hadayas, and again when you work the stitches here, you see that you worked 8 hadayas stitches across hadayas stitches of the previous row. Here 1, 2, 3, and you see I have made 8 hadayas stitches across in the middle of this group. And again, if you wish to have to prevent this skewed pineapples, you just work in turned rounds. When you turn, your stitches will look a bit different, but you will not have them askew. Here we have a bit this skewedness. Now we work this piece, this corner. Before we proceed working hadayas stitches here, we work in the corner. We work 4 chains, 1 single crochet here in this, 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we skip this single crochet and work here, and another one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we skip our first single crochet and work hadayas into next. So I'll just pretend I have here 1. You skip here first, you just work here second. Here we worked here once, 2, 3, and we worked hadayas into second stitch, and you work all the way around until you come here in this place. So I'll just make here 1 hadayas stitch. Just let me make my hadayas stitch here. So I'm at this place, just to see, I will show it here. Yeah, here, so you can see I'm in this place. This is my hadayas, and let's make 1, 2, 3, 4, and we work 3 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, with 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here our 3 loops here, and we join it with this second chain in the beginning of this row. Here we joined it. Here you go. And our next row is row 6. Here 1, 2, and again we work our hadayas stitches in the middle. So in this row we have 6 hadayas, and our first 2 chains, they always count as first hadayas. Here, this is our 6 hadayas. This is this row, you made this 6 hadayas, And now we start building this corner here. So you see, we build this corner. And to make this corner in row 6, we work 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 single crochet here, and 1, 2, 3. Now we make this corner 2 double crochet stitches, 3 chains, and 2 double crochet stitches. We work them here in this three loops. And you know, if it means work stitches, all stitches are in some brackets, square ones, or if it means work all the stitches into one place, it means that you work the stitches into the same place, and the 3 chains will be there. Now this is our corner of square. Now 1, 2, 3. Now we work here 1 single crochet, here our single crochet. See, our corner is made. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we came to this place where we skip 1 hades and work 6 hades across the middle of this group. So we had here 8. Now we work 6 hades across this middle. So I'll just pretend I had it here. Sorry, abs. I'll just yes. This is our hades made. I'll just make it. We'll pull this loop so I will not lose it, and I can work something here, and I will show you the end of this row. At the end of this row, we work the same corner here. 1, this is our hades. Now we work the same corner here. 4 chains. Here 4 chains, 3 chains, then these stitches in the corner, and then mirror-like from the corner. If you look from the corner, the stitches are mirror-like. So this is our first loop. 1, 2, 3. We work here in this middle of 4 chains. We build up a corner of this square. Here 1, 2, 3. So corner made. 1, 2, 3. 1 single crochet into this loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 slip stitch here. And just to remind you, this video goes only with these written and charted instructions, because you will not work this 4th of square motif like I'm doing here to save your time. It's just where you place stitches in 1/4 of the square, but the whole instructions are in your PDF. 1, 2. So I kindly ask you not to share this video because it belongs to the written instructions you have purchased. And it took time to make, to chart this written to draw charts, to work written instructions, and I kindly ask you not to share it with anyone. It's for your personal use. However, you can do with your handmade garments You can do with them whatever you like. Now next row where we work 4 hardest groups across 6 hardest groups of the previous row. We start with 2 chains for the first hardest, then we work this 3 hardest. This is our first group of hardest made, and now we work these corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we work in our first chain arc 1 single crochet. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. Here in next chain arc, here we are. And now next to this corners, here we have 3 chains, here 3 chains, but here we have 4 chains. So 1, 2, 3, and we build 1 corner. Here, corner. This motif is quite popular, and it was used in different vintage garments, and maybe because it is so easily recognizable as one square with pineapples, it is used in many garments these days. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can even imagine a dress with these motifs, a top with these motifs. You just work motifs so that you, for example, you make one big square of these motifs. You can sew side seams, sew shoulder seams, and here you go, a nice top with square motifs is finished. Here I have finished this corner. This is our first hardest in this group here. So I made this corner, and I will show you. I'll start from this corner, okay? So here I will crochet from this corner, because you know this will be the corner. So I do not work the whole corner to show you the end of this row, but I just work from this corner. So this is my corner. Here I work 3 chains single crochet, 4 chains single crochet, 4 chains and slip stitch. Here 1, 2, 3. Here single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, and here I'll work slip stitch into this second chain. And now we work only 2. Here we have 2 hardest stitches, which means that you start with 2 chains hardest. I will just scroll to my chart here. I see, because I need this chart. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. We made this group of 2 single crochet. Here we work 1 single crochet into this chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just remember, only here close next to the corner you work here 3 chains, otherwise here you work 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here 1 single crochet, and you see the number of chains of these chain spaces grows. At first it was 1, then 2, 3, and now we have 4. Here 1, 2, 3, and you see that between this pineapple stitch, here this is this pineapple, and this corner you have 4 chain loops, and then in the previous row 3, and in the previous row 2. So let's make this corner 1, 2, 3, corner made, and these stitches, these loops, they are mirror-like from the corner. So you make 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, and oops, I'm losing my stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there you start working your hardest stitches here. I will just work something here. This is my hardest. So I just continue working. You just work here all the way, all this round. Here we came to this corner. I'm here. 1, 2. Here I'm in the corner. This is my corner. I don't know how long will it take you to make this square. It depends on your memory, whether you can memorize the stitches faster, but usually I memorize the stitches quite fast, but I forget them fast as well. Don't know about you. Everybody is so unique. So everyone learns his or her own way. Here, this is my corner, and these 4 chain loops. You see, you can count that you have 2 loops, 3, 4 chain loops in each corner, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 loops on each side. And then we work only loops and corners. And to work this, we will slip stitch in each of last 2 chains here, and for working in each of last 2 chains here we just turn it and work slip stitch and each of last 2 chains. Why do we need this? Because we want to start working next row with loops here from the middle of this chain loop. And now we work here 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 chain in the beginning of this row, it counts as 1 single crochet, and then 4 chains. Now we work 1 single crochet in next chain arc, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we work in next chain arc, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we work in next 1, 2, 3, 4, and so we work our 4 chain loops until this corner. And here, as you remember, you work 1, 2, 3, and the corner. here. One, two, three, and so you work from the corner, you work these stitches mirror-like. And here too, you work, let me show you, from the corner. I'm using a bit larger hook, so you see the stitches, but you will find the dimensions of these squares and how many you will need for each side. You will find this information in the table in your PDF. Just make 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here you work one slip stitch into first chain in the beginning of this row. So here you go. And here you see that you have 3 loops in each corner, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops on each side. Now it might be better to look at the diagram where you see the stitches. For the next row we will work, we start in the middle of this 4 chain loops. We work 1, 2, 3, and we work double crochet stitches. Here I have already worked them, but I will redo this row in order to show you how to join squares together. First of all, you will see in your PDF that you will need to make this square a little bit tighter on one side, which will become the upper side of the square. Here you will make it a bit tighter. And how do you make it tighter? By skipping chains in this side. So basically you will work chain spaces in the corner, but you will make not 3 chain spaces as usually, but 4. So your squares will not be rounded, but square. And you will work only here and here and here chains. All these other double crochet stitches on one side only will be worked without chain space. And this allows, here I hope you will see, I'll just show it like this. You see that the opposite side of the square is already larger because you worked it with chain spaces. And when you wear the skirt, you will see that upper edge will be tighter and you will have the gradual increase towards the bottom. Here, this is just, it will become not a square but a trapezoid space. A trapezoid shape here, trapezoid shape. And I'll take it out. And here I have already made 2 squares in different colors, so I can show you how to join, how to work this round and join. First of all, you will join 2 squares so that this side with skipped 1 chain will be in the top, here in the top, and you will join the sides of squares. So next square, for example, here you will join on this here on this edge. here you will join it like this. So it's better to show the join on the ready square. Therefore I will remove the stitches here. This whole row I will remove and show you how I will join as I go. So remember, this side will be without chains, and this will be side where I will join. This is the square. I just started working a few rows of main pattern to show you, but we will just disregard this. Here is your square. Here is the corner of this square. And to join, so in your rows you work 2 double crochet stitches, 1 chain, 2 double crochet stitches into these loops, 1 chain, 2 double crochet, 1 chain, and all the way to the corner. Here you just repeat 2 double crochet, 1 chain, 2 double crochet into this loop, 1 chain. So every of these loops have they have the same stitches. And now you came to the corner. You worked here the usual 2 chains, 2 double crochet stitches, then 2 chains. Then I take the hook out. I will take this corner of completed square and I will just pull this loop into this corner. I'd better make it this way, so I will show you. Here I will under this corner, see? And I can work with this loop. I will pull it a bit, 2 chains. This is my square corner, and then I will finish the usual stitches in my corner, 2 chains. And you see, this is how the connection is made. Now we make here connections like this. 1 chain, then I will take the hook out and pull it under this next chain of completed square. I will pull it so up here. I will pull it, yeah, it's just like a slip stitch. And now we make 1 chain again, and we work here in these loops. We work 2 double crochet stitches into this loop, then again 1 chain, and we work here in this space between double crochet stitches of this square, and we work here 1 loop. Again, one loop, here goes under this square, and so 2 double crochet stitches into our next chain, 1 chain, and always I'm going to undo the square so you just understand why I have a pin here. I usually use pins for marking stitches because I won't lose them. I don't like markers because they just so easily losable. here. You see the difference in stitches, right? For example, here how a join will look like if you work with the same yarn. It will be barely visible like this. See, this is the join. This is the join between stitches, between squares. Here it's a little bit more visible, here almost invisible. You can, and there is another method, for example, of course you can work like this. You can pull the loop this way, or you can pull the loop this way. I think this way is more interesting, but just make sure your squares remain on the right side. This is the right side and this is the wrong side. They are pretty visible. I mean, people who crochet, they will surely recognize whether you have connected your squares on the right side or on the wrong side. So if you want your work to look neat, always check the side you are connecting your motifs on. Here we have connected our last stitch. And we came to the corner. See, this is the connection, and this is the connection with the same stitches and with the same yarn. So in the corner we work half stitches in the corner, 2 chains, and then here we work our join, and then we continue this row. Just remember, if it's your second square and you have joined 2 squares, make sure you have this row without 1 chain loops, this side without 1 chain loops. This should be always on one side. And here I will show you. So here we have 1 chain after the corner. We made corner with 4 chains in the corner, and next to the corner we have this chain, 2 double crochet stitches. But then you just work 2 double crochet stitches without having 1 chain between them, because this side will be your upper side when you connect these squares into a loop. This should become your upper side. So you see, I'm working 2 chains in every loop until almost until the corner here. All other sides will have 1 chain here, because it is made only for the gradual increase, because the motif is quite big, this square motif is quite big, and you want to have an increase in motif as well, and this is where you do it by working one side tighter. Now we came almost to the corner. Here we make 1 chain and we work this corner. Just remember, if it is your last, if it's your last square, if it's your last square, you will join your last square here on this side as well into a loop. So at first you join all squares into a panel, and then your last square into a loop. Right now it's not my last square, but just I will show you how to work other sides of this. 1 chain and 2 double crochet stitches into this loop. 1 chain and 1 pair of double crochet stitches, and so on. You just work it all the way. 1 chain, 1 chain, 2 double crochet stitches, 1 chain, and so on the square. And when you come to the end of this row, here you work 2 double crochet stitches, 1 chain, here 2 double crochet stitches, 1 chain, and it's better show it if you wish, because I'm going to undo all these squares. It's just for the purpose of this video, these pieces, therefore I don't work them in whole. Here our last pair, 1 chain, and here you work slip stitch, and you leave some tail, some end, slip stitch, leave an end here, and you cut and fasten off. And when you work row of double crochet stitches, you can by working the double crochet stitches, you cover this loop. Here I have already started working the main pattern. You will find how many stitches you work here. You will find it out. It is in the table. It depends on your size and on how many squares you have. So just place the number of stitches of double crochet stitches as written for each square. Then you work another row of double crochet stitches around the whole row. So your first row of double crochet stitches is worked all around your skirt across all squares, and then you work next row of double crochet stitches, and in your next row you can see there is a big diagram that shows the bottom of the skirt. You will see that there are 54 double crochet stitches, but it's just in one size, in not every size. You will see that 54 double crochet stitches are not in one square, not in every size. Just work as many as you work here. The diagram shows 54 because in some sizes they are more visible. They're more often, because in other sizes, for example, if you work double crochet stitches here, they can be 48, they can be 46, and so on. 54 double crochet stitches are present in each size, but not in every place, but you can see how you work them. Here I have worked, I have not counted them, but it doesn't matter for this video. I just worked double crochet stitches here. So in next row you work this base row for the main pattern, which is 1 double crochet, 2 chains, 1 double crochet, you skip 2 chains, you work 2 chains, and again 1 double crochet, 2 chains, 1 double crochet, 2 chains. Here I have worked them in turn, back and forth, but you can work them in the round, always in the same direction. Now I will show you how to start rows of the main pattern. Main pattern needs other hooks than the square. but I will continue with this hook, which is 2mm hook. And for working, you start here in the middle of this group, and we work 1, 2, 3. We work first fan. Sometimes people call it fan, sometimes shell. It doesn't matter, it is neither wrong nor right, because there are no strict rules of whether you call a thing a fan or a thing a shell. The only straight rules is that you work double crochet stitch in American crochet terms and treble crochet stitch in British crochet terms, and you see they all differ. So here we name stitches in American crochet terms, and these are double crochet stitches. Now 2 chains, we skip this mesh or this block and we work here in next. Our shell or our fan we work in next. Again 2 chains. We skip this mesh or block and we work in next. I will work a few rows only to show you the shell stitches, because they differ a bit. You will see how they differ. So this is how our skirt is started, main pattern in skirt, and it is work between the 2 levels, the upper level of squares and the bottom level of squares. Let's pretend this is the bottom level of squares here. And again, every level of the main pattern has different number of rows in the main pattern, but you can arrange rows of the main pattern so that they are enough for your size. Some people love it really maxi, so the skirt touches the ground when they walk. So because you work in the round, you work 2 chains and you join your last shell with slip stitch here. Here you join it. It's not enough to pull an adult person here, but it's just enough to show you the stitches. I will not work in the round, so I'll just make a long loop and pretend that I will start next row here between double crochet stitches, and when you join it here into this chain with slip stitch, you just work slip stitch to this loop between the stitches. Now we work our next row, 2 chains, and here we work 1 single crochet stitches between these shells, and again 2 chains, and this is our main pattern row. So you work one shell or one fan above shell of the previous round, and here you work here one shell, and when you finish, here your last stitch will be here. You will join with one slip stitch here, just have this repeats. This is your last repeat, and then you work slip stitch. Here you work slip stitch so that you can start between shell or between fan of the previous round. And here again you work 1, 2, 3. Here you work shell, two chains, you skip these stitches and you work shell here. So this row is the same as your first row with shells. Just repeat it. Just repeat this row all around. I will remove it because I want to show you how to crochet the edge shells. The edge shells are worked across this row that is almost straight. So you start actually anywhere between these stitches. I mean, so that your the center of big edge shell should be somewhere here. At first you work several rows with chain arcs. Here I will work several rows with 4 chain arcs. Here I will work 1, 2, 3, 4. This row with chain arcs will straighten the edging, because you see some stitches have more spaces, some stitches have less spaces, fewer spaces. So here you work 2 rows with chain spaces or chain arcs. I like the word arc because space the word space has too many other associations. So for me it does look like an arc here, just an arch or a loop. Doesn't look as a space to me. But I think some people just wanted, when they needed a word for something, they called it not the way it looked like, but the way they just needed to name a thing a particular way, just to compare with other languages. For example, in German you call it Bogen, which is arch. In Slavic languages you call it an arch, and only in English language you call it a space, which is, as we know, it's just something empty. But it's not empty. You see, there are things, they're not empty. So we work second row of these arches or these spaces here, and it does look like an arc or like a loop, especially in your completed garment. does look like not just as an empty space. So I made several rows here with arches. Sometimes people call it net pattern, netting, because garments that consist strictly of these nets, they have, for example, there are tunics that made entirely of such netting. So we made this 2 rows here. And we start with the edging, with shell edging. Let me scroll it to the description of this edging. Yes, because I do need this. I can't remember every stitch, and of course, as I told you, I forget them quite fast, all the stitches. So you open your description on this edging, and your first edge loop here, I will start above this connection. So these are fans or shells in the main pattern, and above them you will start your first loop. So where do we start? It does better to see where you start this edging. We work here double crochet stitches, many of them, and we start before in one in this space, in this arch, before the arch where we place our double crochet stitches. And here we work 9 double crochet stitches, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and one more. So check that it is just between these 2 shells, otherwise it won't be symmetrical, the row. Okay, and now we fix these 9 double crochet stitches. We fix them with 1 single crochet into next chain arc. So here we have single crochet, I have just not tightened it here, and here we have. Now we turn and we work 2 double crochet stitches into next we need to turn here 1, 2, 3. This is our first double crochet. We fix it with 1 chain and we work 2 double crochet stitches into each of these double crochet stitches here. It takes a while till I read my instructions because I have worked this skirt many years ago. I forgot how to make this edging, but it's normally you usually forget what you do if you don't crochet it all the time, and I don't crochet this skirt all the time. It was only once and that's it. There are people who crochet made to order skirts, but I don't belong to them. I enjoy drawing rather than crocheting. Okay, here we need to count our stitches that we have. 18. Yes, here we have. And now here we had one single crochet. Here we fix our this chain arc with this stitch with this single crochet. Now we will work one HDS and one chain in each double crochet stitch and fix it again. So here we fix this and we work one HDS, one chain, one HDS, one chain, and so all the way we work HDS, one chain. It's a big heavy shell and it is yarn consuming. It will take a lot of yarn. So the main pattern is quite lacy. Shell squares will need more stitches, more yarn, but the heaviest, comparing to the rest of the skirt, the heaviest will be the edging, and it will pull the whole skirt down. That is why it is better to work it first, so you see how much weight your edging will have. So here you go, you worked one in every shell, and you join it with no, probably here. I will join it into the same here. You join it in the same, otherwise it will just stretch the edging. So again we work 1, 2, 3. This is our row with double crochet stitches. We work one double crochet in each HDS and one double crochet in each chain. So you see how heavy this shell, edging shell becomes. I'm not counting right now. When you wish to count, it's better to refer to the charted instructions, so you see where the shell starts and how many stitches are there. It is worked, it is drawn in different colors, so it is easier to distinguish, because here it is no video gives you the stitches as distinguished as charts, but you just see how I work and where I work all these stitches. This is this heavy edging. yeah, I would refer to written instructions and charts, but if you need to see where I'm working these stitches, this video might help you. Of course, as you see, I cannot pull the whole skirt into this one single screen. So if you work big garments, you will only see a piece of stitches, not the whole thing. Even if I have huge cardigans in my shop, I show how to work a piece of stitches. I don't pull here the whole cardigan in front of you and work it before you. Oops, I think here it was. Yeah, this one is here, and you fix it with into this arc. Now again, row 5, we need to work. Somewhere here. We work 1 HDS, 1 single crochet, 1 HDS, one chain, sorry, 1 HDS, 1 chain. The number of stitches is huge. Of course, you can count each or just work intuitively. The main thing is that each of your shells is of the same width. If you skip one stitch in a row, especially if you skip one stitch in last row, nobody will see it, but of course it's better to count stitches so your shells will be of the same width, all your shells. Yeah, we worked 1 HDS, 1 chain all the way, and it's quite heavy, and it started. See, when you move, it will move with your legs. It will look quite beautiful when you move. But yes, this consumes quite a lot of yarn, the edging. I know that some people wanted to make a different edging. Very simple shells. So it's up to you, but if you choose another edging, just make sure you can distribute it across all stitches of this rows with arcs. So you see, now one more, and we fix it with 1 single crochet. And now our last row we will work. Just make sure that when you work this last row, it is better if it's on the right side. So your last row in edging and your square are on the last side. So we work here 1 chain, 1 HDS, 1, 2, 3, picot here, 1 chain. Here we work 1 HDS in each chain, and picot. Picot is just the stitch where you chain 3 and work into the top of the stitch before these 3 chains. if you work it like this here, it will not, it will not, it will wobble a bit. So I usually prefer working them into the top of this stitch. So one chain and one HDS into next chain, and here 1, 2, 3, and again one chain, 1, 2, 3, and you work this shell all the way through here in every one chain. Between HDS stitches you work one HDS picot, one chain, and then you see that you start. It's better if you have a look at charts and see where you start your next shell, because you will see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 between two shells here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 between two shells will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you will start your next shell in next this chain, and then you work your next shell again back and forth. So you should meet, your two shells should meet here in this loop between them, and you work the number of shells written for your size all the way around. I have suggested several ways of how you work the waistband. Maybe you don't like the waistband in this skirt where you just sew, but what you can do is you can work in your main pattern here. So this is your main pattern here. You can work double crochet stitches. You can work one double crochet in each of this. Here, for example, here you can work double crochet in each of these stitches of the main pattern, and then you work one row of HDS above them, or single crochet, and you pull when you work here, for example, this is your row, this is your row in main pattern with double crochet stitches, so you work one double crochet in each stitch, and the next row you work HDS in each stitch, and the next row you take this piece of spandex yarn. This is a very stretchy spandex band. It's very thin, but it gives you sufficient stretch, so you can just pretend it's spandex. It's not spandex, but pretend. And when you work stitches, you just cover this spandex yarn here. You just cover it like this with single crochet stitches. When you work single crochet stitches, you see, you can cover everything under the stitches. So you can work repeat it 3 times, like double crochet, row of double crochet stitches, row of HDS stitches, and one single row of single crochet stitches, and then you will avoid the sewing band, working the sewing band. And as for the lining, there are many ready-made linings in different Asian shops, Alibaba or others. Just Google for skirt linings in neutral colors or nude skirt linings, so you do not need tailor or seamstress. So hope you like it and hope to